All right, let's get this party started. Hello, welcome to the My Strength Wellness virtual cooking class. My name is Jessica LaNier. If this is one of your first webinars that I have led, and I'm really excited about today. And I'm going to tell you that I'm going to go turbo speed through these recipes because before that, I'm going to teach you how to make tonight. And I've pre-prepped some of the stuff so that this doesn't end up being a super long recording for those of you watching the recording. But these recipes are going to be so awesome. And what I'm excited about is that, let me switch this up really quick. What I'm excited about is that they're all things that you can use for the whole family. So when I'm working with my clients and we're talking about making healthier transitions into healthier eating, especially if they come from a background where their normal is mostly processed foods, we don't want to focus too heavily on all the foods we need to remove, because what happens is mentally it really messes with a lot of people. And maybe you can relate to this. When you try an extreme diet, or you say at the beginning of the year, okay, I'm going to remove all sugar and all alcohol and all grains and all anything that I've always eaten every single day, and I'm going to eat healthier, and it usually lasts for like an hour, and then you're back to your old habits. So what I like to do with the clients that I work with is to add in more healthy foods. So in these 4 recipes that you're going to learn, that's what we're doing. So our first recipe that we're going to walk through is made with cauliflower, but it's nachos. We're still including the cheese, although I'm going to show you a vegan cheese alternative for those of you who need to avoid dairy. But they're delicious. We are going to learn how to make kale chips. We're going to learn how to make one of my favorite, I call it sweet and salty popcorn. Other clients of mine call it honey caramel popcorn. It is so good. In fact, as I was popping the popcorn back here, my son ran in the door and was like, "Mom, are you making popcorn? I smell it outside." That leads me to my disclaimer. I am a pregnant mama with a 2 and a 4-year-old who are outside with their father right now. So, and the door is locked. So hopefully they stay out here, but no promises. Those of you who have kids, you know that you never know what to expect, especially when you're doing something live. So hopefully, again, they stay out there. Okay, let's dive in. So hopefully you guys got the recipes. Lindsay will be sending out this recording and the recipes to everybody, and I posted them in the My Strength Wellness Facebook community page. If you are not a part of that, definitely join. It's so cool to get to meet other people within the My Strength Wellness community. I'm in there, Lindsay's in there. You can ask either of us any questions. You can make recommendations for what kind of recipes you'd like to see in the future, or recommendations for what kind of topics you'd like me to teach about on these webinars that we're having every Thursday. Okay, without any further ado, let's make some nachos. First, we start with cauliflower. I know it's crazy. Like, there's so many memes about cauliflower now that you can basically make anything from cauliflower. How did we not know this years ago, right? There's now cauliflower everything, from donuts to pizza, like any carb nowadays. I feel like you could potentially replace the cauliflower, which is pretty amazing. So all I did was I actually got 2 small heads of organic cauliflower, because that's what I could find at my local market. But you would need like 1 medium head of cauliflower. And I just took a knife and I cut through the center, and I turned them into just little bite-sized chunks, little florets. So that's what you're gonna do. We're gonna take some olive oil and drizzle it. If you are a recipe follower to the T, you can definitely measure it. I grew up, my mom's side of me, she's full-blooded Mexican, and I grew up learning how to cook by eyeballing everything, which is super annoying when you want to give someone a recipe because it's never made the same way twice. So I will choose to drizzle it. And then we're gonna add in some seasonings. So I always buy organic seasonings personally. This is a Simply Organic brand of chili powder. We've got ground cumin. I think I got this at Walmart, Walmart's organic brand of seasonings. Cumin, garlic powder, and then I personally have my salt in a jar. I use Himalayan salt. Some of you have probably heard me talk about this if you've watched some of the other recordings or webinars before. But the Himalayan salt has the body's 84 essential minerals naturally present. It kind of has this pinkish hue. So if you've seen the pink salt and you're like, what is up with this? I've never tried it. I highly recommend replacing your salt with Himalayan salt because it has a lot of health benefits to it. That's not saying that real sea salt, that's also good for you. They're a little bit different, but that's also really good for you. I would avoid the iodized salt because that is what's going to lead to inflammation, cardiac issues, and health problems. It's amazing that iodized processed salt that's stripped of its nutrients can be harmful for you, but natural Himalayan salt and even real sea salt can be medicinal for you, which is pretty cool. Okay, so I've got my seasonings. So what we're doing is 1/4 teaspoon of each, which again, I put that in the recipe for you guys to follow. I'm gonna eyeball it. We're gonna do 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cumin. And for those of you who've already been on my cooking classes before, you know, well, that was more than 1/4 teaspoon of that. Cumin's one of my favorite seasonings. This is super high quality, high tech videography happening here. It's on my laptop on a little stand. So I apologize for the lighting. And then we've got Himalayan salt. I do a little extra pinch in there. And then that's it. You get a spoon. We're gonna stir this up to evenly coat all of the cauliflower with the olive oil and seasonings. And then I had preheated my oven already to 425. So we're gonna actually pop this in the oven first. The cauliflower is gonna roast for about 30 minutes. And then we're gonna go through and start making the other things. After that, we're gonna take it out. Then we're gonna sprinkle the cheese on, pop it in for 3 more minutes to melt all that cheese. And then we will put the toppings on. So here is what it looks like right now. So I use parchment paper on this cookie sheet. You don't have to by any means, but I prefer it because it's way easier to clean. So that is it. We're gonna pop this in the oven, and then I'll show you really quick what the toppings are gonna be when this is done. Okay, so as far as the toppings go, so after that comes out, we are going to sprinkle it with cheese. The measurement for it is 1/2 cup. I believe that's right. I'm gonna make sure I didn't leave that off. Yeah, 1/2 cup of cheese. So here is, for those of you again who are really trying to decrease your inflammation. Dairy can be something for a lot of people that is inflammatory, and we've talked about that on previous webinars when we were talking about nutrition. So I wanted to show you a plant-based cheese alternative. I personally am not a fan of soy unless it is organic and fermented. So like miso and tempeh are fermented soy. And the reason is because soy is actually a bean that's really hard to digest. I believe off the top of my head, it has 19 different, there was some now. See, this is where my pregnancy brain comes in. Basically, it's hard to digest, and it can be trigger inflammation in the body. A lot of people have allergies to soy and don't know it, which will trigger the immune system if that is true. So I'm not a big soy fan. This vegan cheese is soy-free, and I really like that. This one is called Miyokos. There's several different brands of vegan cheese that you can try, but this is a really good one. I love their butter, and they have some different dairy alternatives as well. Daiya, D-A-I-Y-A, or that's how I always said it, is another brand that we've used before and are pretty happy with. But this is what I'll be using on these cauliflower nachos. But you can also use regular cheese. I highly recommend, and again, we've talked about this in our nutritional webinars, if you're buying regular cheese, always buy organic. When you're buying any kind of animal protein, whether that's meat or a dairy product, if it's not organic, then there's a probability, it's like 99.9% sure, that you're going to get dairy that comes with added hormones, antibiotics, steroids, stuff that you don't want in your body. And when it goes into the animal, it will go into your body. So always recommend organic cheese if you're going to do regular cheese, which is totally fine. Sorry, my baby kicked me in a very weird place. And what else? You can do raw dairy if you're in since you are all in California. That's something we have access to, which I'm a big fan of. So we're gonna do the cheese, and then I already chopped up and separated all the toppings. So in the toppings we have, this is bell pepper. I'll get a little closer. We've got some chopped up bell pepper, red onion, tomato, cilantro, and then some jalapeno slices, and then avocado as well that you'll sprinkle on top, and then you can serve it. That's it. Okay, so we are going to move on next to kale chips. So let me grab my bowl. Okay, kale chips. You can buy the stalks of kale. That's totally fine, and chop it in pieces. You're gonna want about 6 ounces, which this is an organic bag. I actually got this at Walmart. I ended up having to go there to get other things and got some groceries there. So this is already washed, ready to eat. It's organic, and they've already taken most of the stems off for me. It's in chunks or in pieces. So makes my life a lot easier. And for those of you needing easy, this might be a game changer for you. Okay, so we're gonna open it. And it says about 6 ounces. So this bag is 16 ounces. Half would be 8, so we're gonna do a little less than half of the bag. For those of you who have kids, when I make these I usually make them with my boys, and I like to explain to them how kale has superpowers in it, because as you guys know, for adults as well, vegetables, it's like 90% mental, right? It is like mostly mental when we're struggling eating our vegetables, because we know that if we really thought about it and realized that vegetables really can give us longevity, eating more veggies can really increase our quality of life. If we really mentally got there, we would eat more vegetables. But the problem is as a society in general, we've gotten just kind of lazy. And well, if it doesn't fit my taste buds, then I don't really want to eat it. I'm not going to. It's too hard. I don't know how to make it taste right. But we all know, because you guys, right, you're in a chapter of life where you are fighting to do everything you can to feel better. Sometimes that's just to get out of bed, right? To not have pain, to be able to prolong your function, your ability to function and leave the house. That is where you're at right now. And so mentally, you're in a much stronger place than a lot of people who don't have to make those same decisions on a daily basis. So when we can help our younger generations learn and get excited about vegetables, it really does have a big impact on how they're going to grow up and what they're going to think about vegetables. So, I mean, I'll be honest, being pregnant, especially in my first few months, even right now, but especially in my first trimester, and I'm like a health nut, and I couldn't eat salad. Like, and that's why I have special superfood drinks that I make myself. And like, I'll do green shots of chlorella powder and kale powder because to get me to eat a salad, especially my first trimester, I was like, no way, I can't do it. My hormones are like, no. So we have ways around it, right? Because I also want my baby to be as strong as possible. So we have the kale. I took all the stems off because the stems are kind of crunchy and not really easy to eat. Hi, Lisa. Thank you. Okay, so this is super easy, you guys. This is a basic kale chip recipe. You can spice it up however you want. So we're gonna drizzle some olive oil. Again, for those of you who need to measure, it's about a tablespoon, but I'll probably do a little more. We learned in our anti-inflammatory tools class that olive oil is great for inflammation, right? It's also a great moisturizer. Okay, so olive oil and then Himalayan salt. And that's it at basic. Like, that's so easy. And you're gonna pop these puppies in the oven. I do want to tell you about, and this is an official container. This is nutritional yeast. For those of you who haven't heard of it, in the vegan communities, which I'm not vegan, but in the vegan communities, it is very popular for any kind of cheese flavoring or cheese alternative. People have made cheese sauces with nutritional yeast because it has like a cheese flavor. Even in popcorn, people love to put nutritional yeast, sprinkle it over popcorn, and it makes that popcorn have kind of like a cheesy taste. So you can put nutritional yeast in your kale chips if you'd like to kind of get that cheesy texture. So really, you just stir that up. You probably can't see it. And then you put it on a baking sheet with some parchment paper, and you bake it at 350. Obviously, I can't put it in right now because our oven's at a different temperature. I've got kale on my laptop. And you're just gonna bake it about 15 minutes until they're kind of crispy. And then you're gonna take it out and let it dry. And it will, when it dries and cools, they will become more crispy. You don't want to burn them. I'm telling you from experience. You don't want to burn them because if you burn them, they're really gross and bitter, and no one will like them, including yourself. So try to keep an eye on them and not overcook them. But that, you guys, kale, olive oil, Himalayan salt in the oven, boom, kale chips, done. Setting these aside. Okay, next, we have one of my favorites, our sweet and salty popcorn. How many of you like popcorn? I'm a big popcorn snacker, a fan of it. Here's our popcorn. So I made this with an air popper. Super cheap air popper too. Let me show you what it looks like. I think I maybe got it for like $10 one day or something. This is what it looks like. You put the popcorn kernels in here. You put the cover on. You put a bowl in front of it and you plug it in, and that's it. When it comes to popcorn kernels, over here. When it comes to popcorn kernels, you always want to buy organic popcorn kernels. Corn, along with soy, is one of the top genetically modified crops in the US, really in the world. And I won't go in deep to genetically modified foods, but there is a lot of research for its ability to impact our DNA in a negative way. Our DNA is always replicating in our body, and it will regenerate or it will degenerate. There is studies that show that genetically modified foods or GMO foods have the ability to splice our DNA and damage it. And when that happens and your DNA continues to replicate, it will replicate damaged, DNA. And that is why it is in a ton of studies and research when it comes to tumors and cancer. So from a foundational health perspective, we want to avoid GMO foods as much as possible. Corn is a top GMO food. I would say like high 90% of all corn and soy in our country is genetically modified. So when you're getting any corn product, always buy organic. Always buy organic. So these are, I was going to show you actually. I got these from our local co-op, which is like a local year-round farmers market. And I mixed them, but these are like an heirloom corn. Pretty fun. We planted those kernels in our garden. We have an 1,100 square foot garden that we're putting in outside, which I'm super excited about. We're using the Back to Eden gardening method. For those of you who have never heard of that, it is so cool. Highly recommend looking into it if you're wanting to garden yourself. Okay, so we've got air popped popcorn. I put in the recipe that organic microwave popcorn will do as well. I'm hugely against microwaves. Just you guys know by now I'm a total health nerd, and I probably 10 years ago I refused to have a microwave in my house because of the radiation that it puts off and the different countries that have done studies and have made them illegal in some parts. So I still like air popped popcorn. If you don't have an air popper, I've made it on the stove. You can Google the recipe, put a few tablespoons of coconut oil in a large pot with some kernels in a single layer on the bottom, and just kind of shake it over your stove. They will pop and be delicious. No microwave needed. Okay, so this is where we start. Next, we're gonna go over to the stove. And there is a typo in your recipe that I sent out to the Facebook group, so I'm gonna have to change that, and we'll email the correct one out. But when it comes to the coconut oil, so this part is always tricky with my laptop here, moving over to my stove. But we are going to, let's see how we can do this. That's super dark. I've done this, okay, I think this is what we did last time. Okay, so I have a pot here, and the rest of the ingredients we're gonna put in the pot and we're gonna bring to a boil. So we've got coconut oil. I got this at Walmart as well, but a tub of unrefined coconut oil. This happens to be organic, which is fantastic. Spoons over here. So the recipe that you guys have says 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and you can do that. I've made it like that before. I personally am a big fan of healthy fats, and this is a healthy fat that we've learned about that is good for us, right? Good for inflammation, especially when it's unrefined. So I'm gonna do a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. So here's another fun fact about popcorn that a lot of people don't know, is it is super low in calories and high in fiber, which is great. We learned about gut health last week and how important it is to take care of our digestive system. And corn is one of those things that some people, if you have IBS or you have a sensitivity to corn, this isn't going to be a good option for you. But if you don't and you tolerate it well, it's a great source of fiber. It's a great lower calorie snack, and it has some health benefits to it. Okay, so we got our coconut oil melting. Next, we're going to do honey. I prefer raw honey. You could use another liquid sweetener. I've used coconut syrup before, which is basically coconut sugar turned into this consistency. This is a local raw honey that we're using. 1/4 cup of that. I've never tried it with like maple syrup. Maple caramel corn. I mean, that could be really good. I definitely wouldn't do it with molasses. Okay. So that is melting. And I also, part of the recipe, I don't have the vanilla extract. The store I went to did not have it today. So vanilla extract is not, this is the great part I will say about all of these recipes. They are so flexible. With all of these recipes, if you don't have one of the ingredients or you don't have one of the seasonings, or you can mismatch and it will still taste delicious, unless it's like a staple. Like you probably can't make this recipe with popcorn without popcorn. But vanilla extract, I don't have, and that's okay. So the other ingredient that's pretty interesting in this that I think I first developed this recipe again, it was probably 12 years ago. What year are we in? Yeah, probably around then, which is nuts. Probably 10, 12 years ago. And I was looking into different recipes and I saw someone had used baking soda in the sauce recipe. I was like, that's so interesting. And what happens is it helps it kind of bubble up. Let me see if I can, if you guys can see this. You won't be able to see my face. You got a shot of this and you got the pot. But you can see that this is starting to boil now. And so we're gonna do a half a teaspoon of baking soda. Grab my measuring spoons. And you're gonna see that this is going to start to bubble up and foam. This is really interesting. And it gives it kind of more of a salty texture, salty taste, even though we're adding salt as well. Use a smaller pot here. And then after this boils for a minute, then we are going to add it to, we're gonna pour it over our popcorn. I don't think you guys can still see that. We're gonna pour it over our popcorn. You'll start to smell it. It smells really delicious, especially when you can add vanilla. Vanilla and the baking soda and all of it just come together and it's so good. And really that's it for your sauce. Now, side note, I have made the same sauce to make granola. And it tastes so good, like a honey almond granola. You just pour it over oats and whatever else you want in your granola. I've also, in my popcorn, put sliced almonds, and I, again, couldn't find them at the store today, and I'm out, or I would have added them. So delicious, and such an amazing texture and consistency. Okay, so we're gonna come back over here. We're gonna pour this over popcorn. And then we're gonna mix it up. And it's gonna be perfect timing because our cauliflower is probably just about done. This is not a big enough bowl. I had someone tell me before that they used to, when they made this popcorn, they would actually put it into a garbage bag and like triple the recipe and shake it in the garbage bag. I'm like, that's genius. And then they would bake it in batches and put it back in a different garbage bag as like it had a massive, I think they had a lot of kids, but they had a massive bag of this caramel corn and everyone absolutely loved it. So that is literally it. Now we just need to bake it. So I'm going to turn, let's see where these are at. Make sure that's done. So I'm going to turn this down. Parchment paper is ideal when doing these things on your cooking sheets because it doesn't stick, but it's not a big deal if you don't have it. So I'm going to bake this at 350, and I have to do this in batches too because my baking sheets are not big enough. I will show you here what it looks like. And the cool part about this, so side note, I personally choose to sprinkle it with salt after. You can sprinkle it, you can mix it all in. It's not that big, it doesn't really matter. But I like to get an even coating. There's that popcorn. I'm gonna pop it in the oven and take out this cauliflower. Here is the cauliflower. Let's see if you guys can see me. Roasted. So real quick, all I'm gonna do for the cauliflower before I pop it back in the oven is sprinkle some cheese on. I got popcorn on my hand. Pop this back in and then we'll make our last recipe, the salsa. So obviously you can be sparing with cheese or you can also do more. Honestly, whatever's gonna get you eat more vegetables, do that. Hi, Lily. Oh my gosh, I miss you guys. Okay. So here is, before we put it in the oven, now the popcorn goes super fast. It will cook super fast. And again, it's something you don't really want to burn. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, last we're gonna do the salsa, our chunky rainbow salsa. Now I will tell you, this recipe and the cauliflower nachos are some of my favorites. I've adapted them a little bit, but they're some of my favorites from the personal nutrition program that I personally use and I use for a lot of my clients, called 2B Mindset. And it started as a clinical trial at UCLA. I think I might have talked about it on a previous webinar before, but it's really fantastic for people who are wanting to eat healthier, wanting to achieve healthy weight loss, and not wanting to diet. And so many of us have tried so many diets, right? And doesn't last. It really is a mindset shift of helping us shift our relationship with our food to help us, instead of being afraid of carbs or being afraid of calories or being afraid of food because we're not sure if it's going to make us feel bloated. I really love it. I will tell you, I've studied a lot of nutritional programs. I have my certification in nutrition. And this program, the best way I can describe it is it's the most genius and the most simple program I've ever come across. It comes with 30 different short, like 1 to 5 minute training videos of how to navigate if your goal is healthy weight loss, how to navigate while you're on vacation or a barbecue or a party, and what to eat as far as portions for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. What do you do when you're hungry after dinner? What do you do? It's just really amazing. I love it. Again, I use it for a lot of my clients, and some of these recipes are from that program. So if it's something that you want more information on, please reach out to me. I would be more than happy to share with you. You all should have my email by now, but it's TheHealthPatriot@gmail.com. Shoot me an email and I can give you the information and how to access it. And I've got support groups to help walk people through it as well. Okay, this recipe is from there too. So it's chunky rainbow salsa. So I have pre-chopped some of these ingredients to make this. Let me get those. Look at these. These are tomatoes. They're heirloom tomatoes. Love them. I'm actually, to be honest with you, not a huge tomato fan, but I love heirloom tomatoes. They're a little bit sweeter and they're just delicious. So I chopped an heirloom tomato. Let me actually use my bigger bowl here. Okay. Another spoon. Next, we're doing bell pepper. So you can do any color bell pepper. I had orange one, so that's what I put in here. You could do red, you could do green if you want. And then chopped red onion. I just love these flavors together. They are so delicious. Here's the other half of the red onion. And then this recipe calls for mangoes. Now let me tell you. The store I went to today had 0 mangoes and not even frozen mangoes. Thank you, Lisa. Let's check the popcorn. I think we're actually good. Let's take it out. It could maybe go for a little bit longer, but I prefer it to be a little bit less. So this is what it looks like. It's kind of caramelized a little bit. You guys can see. Now I'm gonna let this cool and harden. And then after my salsa, then I will put the rest of the popcorn in there. Let me check on the cauliflower. Got a minute or 2 left on the cauliflower. Okay, so onions. So back to the mango dilemma. Didn't have any. So how many of you had peach salsa before? I got peaches because really the mango adds sweetness, right, and the texture. I did frozen peaches because I couldn't find fresh peaches, and actually the consistency of these frozen peaches are just like mango. So if you can't find mango, that's an option for you too. So we're doing peaches in this rendition. Cilantro. Oh my gosh, I love the combination of cilantro. I mean, this is the Mexican in me probably. The combination of cilantro and lime, so good. Got a lime. I'm gonna squeeze some juice, and then we're gonna do 1 avocado. Mix it all up. And the recipe doesn't call for it, but I know my taste buds, and I'm going to want some salt in here. So I'm going to do that salt. It's going to be like fresh and tangy and sweet and salty with a little bit of spice with the onion. It's going to be so good. So here is the avocado. I know there's so many different ways to cut avocados, and I'm not saying that I went to culinary school. So I personally cut it in the shell into pieces, squeeze it out. This one, and this will be done. I'm going to take out the cauliflower. We'll mix up this salsa. Whoops, the stem went in there. All right, let's get the cauliflower out. This cheese melts differently than regular cheese, I will tell you that. Let me switch these around, playing musical counters. So I want to be able to add the toppings to that and show you what it looks like at the end. Okay, a little bit of salt for salsa. Look at that layer. Look at all those colors. So pretty. I mean, that camera is doing nothing for what it looks like. We're gonna stir this up. My family's gonna be eating the most random collection of food. A bunch of snacks for dinner. This is what's for dinner. So this salsa, oh my gosh, I wish you guys could smell this. This salsa is amazing. You can serve fresh veggies with it, like celery or cucumbers, the mini bell peppers, and slice them in half. Look at how delicious that looks. Or you could get some organic corn chips. Again, remember, corn, organic, always. I like the blue one. And you can serve this for your family. You can serve this for yourself. We're getting more veggies into our body this way. So good. Rachel Ray tries food on her cooking shows, right? Okay, now get some water. We're gonna sprinkle these with our toppings. So we've got, I just kind of mix all these together. Right, again, we had tomato, bell pepper, some red onion, some jalapenos, and some cilantro. Again, you can do anything that you want. I realize I'm out of avocado, but I would have added avocado on there as well. And I might add a few more diced bell peppers and stuff. But there are your cauliflower nachos. The great thing about this is that you could, sorry, that's my stand. You could snack on these. Like literally, if you ate this whole tray of nachos, you'd be eating a whole head of cauliflower, right? I mean, like that's winning. You could have nachos and eat a whole head of cauliflower at the end. I say, this is like a magic trick. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed these recipes. If you have any questions about any of it, please feel free to reach out to me either on the Facebook community page or you can contact me via my email. Again, it's TheHealthPatriot@gmail.com. If you try any of these recipes, I would love for you to tag me on social media. My Instagram handle is health_patriot. And on Facebook, you can find me at either my name or The Health Patriot as well. All right, you guys, have a great night. Lisa and Lily, thank you so much for joining us. I wish we were in quarantine together. Love you guys. Bye.